Welcome to the Grab a Hold podcast. I am your host, Justin S., and I am back in my house alongside with Damien, who is on his patio. So after a week off, we are back for prediction night. How are you doing, man?
Feeling good about my predictions. I think last time I did predictions, I kicked some ass, so I'm ready to do it again.
You did. David is not with us tonight, so he had to mail his in to us so that way we could read them during the show. Unfortunately for him tonight, he's busy. His Wednesdays are locked up now. So, but this was the night we had to do it this week. If you are listening to us on Amazon Music or Audible, thank you. Please make sure that you hit the plus sign, the bell, whatever it is for you, that make sure that you get these as soon as they drop. If you are watching and or listening to us on Spotify, thank you. Please make sure that you hit that bell so you get these as soon as they drop. And of course, if you are watching and listening to us on Spotify, or excuse me, YouTube, if you don't know where we're at, we are on YouTube at the Grab a Hold podcast right here with Grab a Hold podcast underscore after each word except for the word podcast. You can see our whole catalog of video episodes that we've had since episode 100 and the full catalog from episode 1 all the way up to tonight, episode 118 is now on Spotify. So please make sure that you go ahead and get a hold of those. If you haven't already, obviously, it helps us to like and to subscribe to those videos and to the channel, and it is much appreciated as we continue to try and grow this thing, as we've talked about many times before. We're going to get to predictions. We got a couple things to cover on the process of also going through the predictions. As it stands right now, it's a 5-match card, of course, you know, the standard PLE number. But I want to start with something non-WWE.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw this. It's made its rounds. I'm sure you have. You're a combat guy that likes boxing. You like MMA. Rampage Jackson's son. This whole incident, if you want to call it an incident, if you want to call it a mess, you can call it a mess. There's been a lot of reports that are conflicting. We've seen a lot of reports and videos that have come out since this whole situation. For those who don't know, there was a video that went completely viral of an independent wrestling show where a guy was in the ring, Rampage's son Raja got in the ring and then essentially double leg slammed the guy and then just ground and pounded him literally. From what's been reported, he not only knocked him completely out but also broke teeth and completely, obviously, concussed through the whole situation. There's been videos that have come out of them talking backstage and the guy hitting him with a beer can, and the guy no-sells it because apparently, not dissimilar to his dad Rampage, Raja has a camera guy with him, and they use this for like streaming and content. And so the guy didn't really understand, like the camera was on, but he no-sells it. And there was a lot to be said about who was in the wrong and what was going on. But just from your take when you saw the video, Damien, what did you think of it when you saw it?
Yeah, I just thought it was a Travis Scott moment the first time I saw it, right? I thought that he was supposed to go in, slam him, get some punches in or whatever, um, and then they look really stiff. And then the more
Right,
I see it, the more I realize, like, yeah, like he fucking assaulted that guy and he probably deserves to go to jail.
right. My understanding is he's had a troubled past. That Rampage, you know, is sad about the things that he's had to deal with, and I don't know how true this is. I just, like I said, I read this off quickly that he actually not long ago actually just got out of jail before this came up and happened. So I would imagine he's going back if that is in fact true.
Yeah. I will
Um,
say this, the guy that I don't know their names, but the guy
right.
that he beat up,
I believe his
deserved to
name
get
is Psycho Stew. I
I mean,
believe
he
his
didn't
name
deserve what he got, but he deserved to get
something.
punched once or twice because I saw the incident in the back where he
Mhm.
just like he's trying to bully him and he hits him. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he hit him with a cup,
Right.
plastic cup.
It was a
It
beer
was
can.
weird, but he smacked him with it. So
Right.
he deserved. He had a receipt coming his way, but holy shit, that was brutal.
Mark Henry's comments were that the days of hazing in wrestling are no longer there, that there's no place for that anymore, that that's not something that should be happening, and that there is a part of that that should have went down that way, similar to your point. Um, I don't, it's hard to justify any of what you see when you see somebody defenseless, excuse me, in the way that that gentleman was, and what we now know is, turned into a complete hospital stay and things of that nature. I've seen several platforms say that the gentleman from YouTube, Mr. Beast, has reached out and is willing to help cover medical bills and things of that nature. Rampage has apologized for the behavior and understanding why this is a sensitive matter and that he doesn't condone it. It's a messy situation. Do you, and we'll move on here pretty quickly, do you feel like this is any type of black eye or blemish on wrestling as a whole because of how viral this went?
No, I don't think so. I mean, to me, it feels like an isolated incident, something that just happened on, I don't know, I guess you call it indies. I don't even know what promotion it was.
Right.
Just it looked very low budget, low rent. So, um, no, like I don't think so. I mean, people might say it is. If anything, I think it'd be more of a black guy on MMA, right? Because wasn't he training to be a fighter? Doesn't he have a couple of fights under his belt,
That's my
trying to
understanding.
follow
Yeah.
in his father's footsteps? So, if anything, I mean, here you go. You got a trained professional fighter, taking advantage of a professional wrestler, somebody who doesn't train in combat, in an actual combat sport.
Right.
And so I think if anything, the black eye is on mixed martial arts fighters more than a
Okay.
wrestling community.
Well, as we said, we're going to move on. The other thing I want to bring up is Karrion Kross and Scarlett showed up this weekend in GCW during Matt Cardona and Shotzi Blackheart's match for the Garage Beer Championship. Uh, Cardona, who made his indie debut by taking on Nick Gage in GCW when he was initially released from WWE, and has really, snowballed that into quite the indie, just wrestling career, but using the indies as well as anybody ever has. And now was getting ready to face Shotzi in GCW's Homecoming. And that moment is, this time, the spoiler was that it was Karrion Kross and Scarlett getting involved to help Shotzi. And so now it's been announced that Kross will take on Matt Cardona at House of Glory later this fall. He's got a couple other appearances that are always already on the books that have been announced, but this is a pretty big one. I feel like this is a good, strong way for him to start. It's a good way for him to come out. It's two names that it's two names that people have supported or have shown love to. And it's a great way for him to come out the gate with the guy who is, basically shown a blueprint to everybody else on how to do the indie job.
Yeah, to me, it feels like it's a perfect way for him to start at the top and
Hmm.
then and then get back to WWE. Because I
Right.
just feel like, I mean, great, Matt Cardona, Killer Cross. I mean, two big names, right? Big show. It's gonna probably sell a lot of tickets, get a lot of views online. But then where does Killer Cross go from there? You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
there's nowhere to go but down after you wrestle the King of the Indies.
Well, I'm going to tell you,
So,
wherever the fuck he wants, that's where he's going to go.
but back to WWE. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a one-off. Maybe it's a way to bring Matt Cardona back with him.
That'd be interesting.
I'm curious as to why he's not in the WWE. He goes on every single podcast and says he wants to go back. His wife is there. He
Right.
probably would love to travel around with her. I'm curious as to why the WWE won't bring him back. Or heck, I
Right. I
mean, they
mean,
bring everybody else back.
I was going to say, you would think so, considering the buzz that he's created and the reputation he has on the indies. And I mean, you can't argue that the guy hasn't done better for himself than even when he was in the WWE. And generally speaking, when guys do that, it's usually a fast track ticket back to WWE, and you get to call some of your own shots as you come back in on how you want to do it. So it's a little bit shocking that Cardona is not back. We'll see what happens if this is, a one-off and Cross comes back like you're saying, or is there other promotions that he wants to show up in and do fun things in, and go ahead and terrorize the indies for a little bit. So I guess we'll wait and see, but for now he's back, and it's, all over online, and you can find it right here on YouTube if you're looking for it. um One of the things I wanted to bring up, and then we'll or two of the things rather, but we'll start with this in the final two questions before we get to our predictions. um, what do you think about the way that WWE does these European tours and how they affect scheduling, start times, and the time of year they're doing them, right? Because last time they did this was at the beginning of the year, and this was during WrestleMania season, which kind of, to people in the States, it was a little bit of shock considering that they don't do that during WrestleMania season. and WrestleMania being pushed back this year and next year, now look at like, well, that's you can do that in the interim. And people stateside kind of felt like it kind of ate up a couple of John Cena appearances that kind of hurt them. But I mean, obviously, it's a global brand. It's not going to hurt them overall. But the timing of things of it being WrestleMania season, and then now you come back into the fall where they've been on this cycle of PLE, Saturday night's main event, PLE. And then it starts to slow down. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going back to Europe. I know you kind of like the earlier start times for a lot of these things, but how do you feel as far as the timing and that they're doing it twice a year? And it's not just house shows, they're actually on TV a lot.
I honestly don't even notice it. Yeah, I know like Monday Night Raw was at 3 o'clock
It was at
this
this last Monday was at
3:30
noon.
noon. Yeah, I got home and I watched it and I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, it's already done. It's already the recording's over with already. So
Right.
I didn't even notice it. And then you can tell it's a European crowd because they all they want to do is sing, and I
Right.
used to
They do
like
the
that.
soccer style
I,
chants.
I
Yeah.
I love it. I love the PLEs when it's just like wrestling, when they're wrestling and they go out there and they're chanting. Like that's great to me. But
Right.
like when people are trying to cut promos, it sucks because it kind of ruins the promos. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I I don't even notice it, honestly. To be honest with you, I don't even. It doesn't resonate to me that they're overseas, or it doesn't even affect me in any way.
Do you feel like if they're willing to do so many house shows for the European tour, why are they not doing more house shows stateside? Because that was a big thing this year, right? That was an announcement. They were cutting back. They wanted to create more of a demand. They wanted to get people off the road and have more of a family life, quote unquote, which I think is hilarious because the idea of like, oh no, we're going to have more of a family life. You don't have to be in the ring, but listen, we're going to send you to the Coca-Cola 500 and be the grand marshal for NASCAR. And then you're going to go over here and do the Today Show. And then you're going to go to some Verizon or Cricket Wireless in Poughkeepsie and you got to do a meet and greet for, 5 hours there. So it's not like just because they're not on TV or on a house show doesn't mean that they're not having to go places and do things, but they're actually taking away from the wrestling itself. So does that to you, are you kind of like, man, I wish they would do it because it's reps, really. It makes for more of a polished or better product, you would
Yeah, I
think.
guess the main thing that I was, and you got to it at the end there, was just the reps, right? And being able to have a program with somebody, and you're working on the dark shows, on the house shows,
Right.
and you're kind of perfecting or learning each other's styles, perfecting what you want to do in the ring. And that way, when you get to the PLEs or even the TV shows, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, you know each other really well, and you're consistently in the ring, so you're sharp and you're ready to go, and everything looks a lot more crisp. So um, yeah, I wish they would have more house shows for that reason, I guess.
Right.
But I mean, like they said, it's a different time. You know, NFL football players, they don't spend a lot of time in the preseason playing,
Plain.
maybe
Yep.
a drive or so. So they want to save them for the games. They want to save the wrestlers for the television shows, for the PLEs. Um, I don't know. To me, I'm okay with it as long as it lends itself to a healthier lifestyle for a lot of these professional wrestlers. Because I mean, we know. I mean, our generation that we grew up with. I mean, most of them are gone already, right?
Right.
And too soon. So
Right.
hopefully this,
Do you feel
lengthens
like
their lives.
it's kind of a double-edged sword in that sense because you feel like, well, you want them to be home more, but that means that you're running the risk of somebody getting hurt or not doing well. But then if you do it more, then they're taking away from their family. So like to get better, you got to give up, you got to sacrifice. And if you don't give something up like your family time or more rest, then and like you said, they're not on the road 300 days a year
I
anymore.
I think,
But it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation.
but yeah, but now their rosters are so deep where like you could stay home, right? You could be on the road for a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then maybe you're gone for 2 weeks because they don't need you for television. Like they can
Right.
do a package, a backstage package or whatever, pre-tape, and give you a couple weeks off so you can be home. Yeah,
Do you
they're
feel
not
like that's
traveling
something that they're
300.
lacking
They should probably do
because they
that more often,
because they
right? Like
don't rotate people like that?
they should
Like the
rotate them.
roster is
Yeah.
super deep, so you could feature like we've talked about this like in the conversation we had about the mid card women's championships, right? This was a way to showcase more women and give them something to fight for. So you could kind of rotate the champions off and kind of give them their spotlight on the weekly show, and then on the PLE it's important because they're both defending those. They don't have to be there every week, but they
Right.
can work with that and continue to move around, but they haven't done that.
Not consistently. I mean, like
Yeah,
right now, the women on Raw are getting a lot of shine on
right,
for the lower card, but yeah, not consistently. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they work out their schedule and stuff like that, but I mean, I think you could have it both ways. All right, man, you're gonna be on the road for a month. Like, plan for some days to meet up with your family or whatever. You're gonna be on the road for a month, working house shows, doing Raws and SmackDowns or whatever PLEs, and then
right,
we'll give you a week to be home, and then we'll you know we'll take it easy with you. But they could easily do that. I imagine they could take half of the Raw roster or half of the SmackDown roster at a time to do
right.
house shows and have a very good house show.
Do you think that it would be like, helpful, I guess, would be the word, to, like, rotate in that way and in there those spots, like, so, like, let's say you take a handful of people, let's say 5 to 10 people, and you take them off the road for, 3 weeks or whatever it is. So they can do promos on shows to continue to build feuds, but they don't have to work, something like that, something similar to, like, what Punk does or something like that, but then on the road, to replace them, instead of not having anybody, you bring some NXT people with you and let them get some main roster reps on the road and in those loops,
Yeah,
and then you can go ahead and be like, "Hey, look, you're getting experience, but you're not quite there yet." It's like you get to go to, if you're, we're using baseball as the analogy. You play in the minors in AAA, but you get to go to batting practice and simulate games with the major players, and then when it comes game time, you come off the bench here or there and pinch hit, or you sub in, and then, for a week, and then you go back down and you're a starter in the minors until they're ready to fully call you up.
yeah. I just wonder though, like if you have like a Penta versus Kofi Kingston main eventing a house show, and that's what
Right.
you're promoting, are you going to sell tickets for it? Like, is it going to sell out? If that's like your main event, then you work your way down the card from there, or do you need those big names still to sell
Well,
seats at the house shows?
I think to a certain degree, you need, a couple big names, but I don't believe, and I don't think you do either, that Seth Rollins is main eventing house shows anymore. I don't think that, you're looking at, you would see, a Braun Breaker and a Bronson Reed probably main event the house shows. You're not
Yeah,
seeing, and, Dom with his popularity could main event a house show.
yeah.
You're not seeing
Like I said, yeah,
Cody's doing some stuff here and there, but even like right now, he's on the road filming Street Fighter. So it's not
yeah.
like he's at every single show right now.
They are loaded enough, man, with so much talent that they could have a nice house show and get a good crowd and get them reps and things like that. So, I mean, I feel like maybe they just have to be a little more consistent with their schedule. It feels like there's no plan. It's like, oh, well, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like there's a plan. They just kind of like go by, like, oh, you're gone, you're off TV for a week or two, and then bring you
Right.
back. Or guys show up to work, or they travel to work and then don't do anything.
Right.
And I just figure like if you're not gonna do anything with somebody, if they're not gonna be at a match, like there have been a few instances where like Damian Priest is backstage and he just has like backstage segments.
Yeah.
Like, why do you make him travel if you're just gonna put him back in a backstage
Do
segment
that.
and not be out in front of
Yeah.
the stands? You know what I mean? Like, I think they could
Like
save
you could have
themselves a lot
taped
of
that at the
money.
last show he was at. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe it's like the day of. They're like, oh, well, let's do this, and they do it, and then he goes home. I
Right.
don't know, or
The
build some sort of a backstage studio at the performance center or something like that, where it's just like every backstage looks the same, and that's where they record their backstage
right.
segments. I don't know,
Like
like
the old school way of doing studio stuff.
yeah,
The last thing I wanted to get to before we get to predictions is Jake Hager, formerly Jack Swagger. He did an interview with Chris Van Vliet this week and brought up AEW and Tony Khan. He specifically said, fuck Tony Khan, and explained what a lot of wrestlers are dealing with, including what it was like to deal with him going from early on to getting a contract extension to what it was like to deal with him creatively. We've heard a lot of things over the last 5.5, 6 years of how he gives wrestlers freedom, and he's so gracious and all these things that, like, he makes you feel like he cares. Jake Hager's story is very different. He said that, he had opportunities to do other things and chose to stay with AEW, and, you know, his take on MMA fighting and why he gave that up was very, realistic as far as you have to train at a certain level and be, essentially have a killer mindset. And he was trying not to do two things at once all the time. And so he gave that up, and AEW was where he was at. And he was on the very first episode of Dynamite. He was the guy that wound up being the name that Jericho named to his inner circle. Um, and then it started getting to a point where he went to get an extension and Tony only offered him 18 months as an extension. And he was in both of the stadium stampede matches that helped get them through COVID and their return from COVID. He was a big deal to one of the biggest factions they had at the beginning when Jericho was still relevant to the success of AEW. And he felt disrespected by the offer that was given. And he did say financially it wasn't terrible, but it seemed like he just didn't want him there. So he lowballed them as far as time wise and wanted him out. He would go on to say that when Punk had the, brawl out situation, that guys had kind of like a wrestlers only meeting and were kind of talking them through. Mox, Jericho, and Bryan Danielson were trying to talk through the meeting to kind of explain to everybody how they wanted to go forward and what they needed to do. And Tony burst into that meeting basically yelling at everybody and was like, "You'll do what you're told. And if I put you in a 6-man tag 6 minutes before we go live, then you will." And Jake was like, all of us felt disrespected. Sting standing right there. He's like, how do you say something like that to Sting and then tell him, by the way, we're going to honor you in your retirement? He was just like, I didn't understand it. He came off as, a billionaire, basically brat, and that at the end of the day, the wrestlers didn't like creative. When he wanted, to hear things when they tried to give him constructive criticism, he wanted no part of it, and that he didn't want to hear that. And so a lot of guys were stuck where they were and couldn't change those things. And that he says that, Tony's a big reason why everything took a shit, because he refused to listen to people who had, 15 to 20-year careers that were trying to help the direction and get AEW off the ground on a good foot, so to speak. What did you think of that? Do you think that Hager, I saw some comments where they were like, so basically Tony Khan did what a booker or an owner should do and told you that you do what you're told because you're the employee and you're crying about it. Do you feel like that's the same thing, or do you feel like Jake, aka Jack Swagger, hasn't had the career and the notoriety, I guess would be the right word, to be able to have the kind of weight and stroke to be able to talk to somebody like Tony Khan like that and kind of check him, so to speak?
No, I feel like he has, right? I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Hmm.
Say what you want. He was a world heavyweight champion,
Right,
two-time All-American.
right.
He has a cool hat. Um,
That's right.
and so, I mean, I think he's somebody that you could listen to. I mean, he's not Chris Jericho, but he's definitely got way more knowledge about the industry than Tony Khan does, right?
Right,
Tony Khan does. I've always felt this is just a spoiled rich kid who became buddies with, you know, professional wrestlers and told them like, hey, let's start up a professional wrestling business and I'll put the bill for it and you guys put your name behind it.
right,
And so he was just happy at one point to be one of the guys, right, to be accepted. And then as things kind of improved for AEW, or they secured TV deals and things like that, and they've been on TV for a while, and I don't know if they're profitable or what, but he got a little too big for himself and decided that I'm not one of the guys anymore. I want to tell him what to do, right?
right.
But who's to say that he's not like buddy buddy? Like Cody Rhodes hasn't gotten into super detail about what happened with them, but he clearly was disrespected. He
Well,
clearly was not happy there,
he
and he
can't,
left.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's NDAs
yeah,
in place that don't allow him to talk about it.
yeah. So Jake Hager doesn't have those NDAs, so he was free to talk about certain things. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I believe it. I believe that Tony Khan's just a spoiled rich kid who was happy to be a part of the club at one point, and now he's kind of taking a turn for the worse and become power hungry. Doesn't want anybody's help, and I think it shows in the product
On the show. Yeah.
lacking. I mean, I honestly, I see things online. I see headlines and things like that. I can not tell you when the last time. It's been at least a year. I'll tell you that much. It's been shortly after I started doing this podcast that I haven't sat down to watch an entire show of
Right.
Dynamite. or I think, to be honest with you, it's been like shortly after Punk left. So it's
Mhm.
been a long time. Like shortly after he left and because I thought Collision felt like a wrestling type show that I like to watch. And then
Right,
when he left, it just became a shit show. And I don't even have a recording on my YouTube TV. That's how bad it
right,
is. So, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you whether or not the product is good. I know the formula, shitty stories, either you rush matches or they super slow play matches until they get to PLEs or
right,
pay-per-views for them, and then they put on 13 matches that last 30 minutes each, right?
right,
And then they just want to. I mean, that's good for them, right? They they can draw you in with their pay-per-views and say like we're going to give you five-star matches, five-star quality matches, but they don't mean anything because we've done a shitty job of telling a story up to that point.
right.
So I know the formula. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I mean,
I don't really watch the weekly show. I will watch their pay-per-views for the fact that they're streamed through people that I know that I can watch them with, and have a watch party, so to speak. That's the only real reason why I watch them. I've never since let's see. I'm not gonna say never, but if I go back to your point about Punk being gone, probably All Out in London the first time. That was probably the last pay-per-view that I actually paid for them. Um, and then after that, it was like you said, Collision felt different, and I watched that, and I still kind of had hope for Dynamite being something different. And then it kind of, went away as quickly as it came. And the PLEs or pay-per-views in their terminology, there's some positives to take away for sure, because like you said, if you want crazy matches and fun stuff, it kind of gives you that, but it drags. I mean, you got 6 hours of matches. There's 2 to 3 matches on their pre-show that's free on YouTube, and then there's another 5-hour show that's going on. I mean, the guys that we talked about it a lot early on in this podcast, that there was levels to this shit, that there should be tiers. There should be main event guys, upper card guys, mid-tier guys, and lower card guys or girls. And they didn't distinguish that. They've done a better job since of distinguishing some of that, but I feel like they've missed the mark on guys that or girls also that they should be pushing. There's people that have been frozen out. There's people that are dealing with things and they're not talking about it. There's things like people kind of lose sight of who, kind of drew people in at the beginning. And now it's just like we're just going to keep signing people, or we're going to keep bringing people in, or we're going to keep partnering with, New Japan Pro Wrestling and use some of those guys. Listen, I watched the pay-per-view Sunday, and they were at the O2 Arena. It was Forbidden Door with New Japan. The main event was MJF and Hangman, but then there was a lights out match that was 5-on-5 that they said was a cage match. Now, when you think of a 5-on-5 cage match, do you think that that's even doable to not have a clusterfuck of people in the ring when you think of what that cage and that match has to look like?
yeah. Well, I
Because
mean, I picture that was War Games without a top on, right?
that's exactly what it was. So that's not a real cage match, number one. You don't get the gap to the floor. That's too much. You have 10 guys plus a referee, so 11, sitting there trying to hide that are all now caged in while they wait for their moment. That was rough. Then the main focus for New Japan in that match was Tanahashi, who at this particular point, I believe, is in his mid 50s.
Yeah, I saw some highlights. They weren't.
And I mean, listen, my grandmother's 84 and had her knee replaced, and she moves faster than this gentleman when he's in a sprint running the ropes. And no disrespect, I've seen a lot of Tanahashi in his prime, and it's pretty fucking good. But
Yeah,
that's not who he is now, and it's not conducive to a match with Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, guys that are super athletic, guys that are willing to do shit that are on a different level, like Darby Allin. You can't put somebody in there and think that that's not going to go unnoticed. And there was a particular part at the end of the match. Ospreay has to have neck surgery, so the match ends, and then they close the door, and Moxley's crew puts the chair around his head and goes after his neck and head again, right? Well, in the background shot is Marina Shafir, Roderick Strong's wife, who runs with Moxley's crew of Death Riders. They show her climb into the cage from the backside, while the rest of Tanahashi, Kenny Omega, all these other people who were on Ospreay's team stand in front of the door in the front and don't try to climb in at all. It made no sense. It gave it away that nobody came to help him and nobody tried to climb in whatsoever. Well, the smallest person and the one person that shouldn't have been in the shot because she didn't do anything, she could have climbed in from the side and them not shot it. And
Right.
they still shot that, and it killed the logic idea of like they couldn't get in because they were being held back by the weapons that the rest of the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd and those guys had. It literally took you out of it so quickly. And you knew why Ospreay was leaving. You knew that was part of the deal.
Well, they tend to miss on a lot of their big moments as well.
Mm,
I mean, I still think, I think I sent you and David a while back the video of the exploding ring match that they had, or the exploding barbed
yep,
wire match, or the exploding
yep,
ring. And David had never seen it. He's like, "What the fuck is that?"
yeah. The one with Omega and Moxley where Eddie Kingston covers Mox and then it just
Yeah,
basically is like a bad firework. Yeah,
little sparklers in the corners. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, even Kane's freaking flames
Pyro
are were
was stronger
pyros
than
better
that.
than that. But anyway,
Yep.
again, I I saw, back to your original point, I saw bits and pieces of the Jake Hager interview, and
Mm,
he didn't come off as somebody who was just there to shit on people and complain. It really felt
right,
like he was calm, he was level-headed. Chris Van Vliet was asking him questions and he was answering them. I mean,
right.
and to be fair, he also, said some things about John Cena.
Yeah, yep.
So it's not like he just came out to shit on people and complain about things. He just kind of,
Yeah, he didn't just bury AEW.
he seemed very, very matter of fact. Like, this is what happened. You can
Yeah,
take it for what it's worth. Like, uh, I think I don't know if he didn't come off as bitter, I guess,
okay,
at all. Like, I don't know. Like,
that's fair.
if you hear his tone, I didn't feel like he just came off as bitter and just wanted to sit there and bitch and complain about all the times he had been screwed over in the business. He was just
Right,
answering questions.
that's fair. All right, well, let's get to our predictions. As of right now, we have a 5-match card. There may be something added by the time we get to Friday, but as of right now, it's just 5. And again, this is in no particular order as always, but we're going to start with the Donnybrook match of Rusev and Sheamus for the 347th time. So, who do you got, and how do you feel about them running this back again?
I mean, I guess I get why they're on the card. Two European wrestlers in France. Probably, that's the main reason why they're on that card. I like the work that they've been doing. I guess if you want to help get Rusev over and kind of make him relevant in WWE again, he should win. But I really feel like this is a situation where I think sooner rather than later, I think we're going to see Sheamus start building toward an intercontinental title run again. So I think he's going
Okay.
to win this match, and then
Okay.
so I'm hoping that it's Rusev, but I think it's going to be Sheamus.
Okay. David also took Sheamus in this. I'm going to go Rusev because I don't think that you have Rusev lose his first PLE match. I feel like Sheamus is a guy, unfortunately, that they used in this situation. I don't think they should have, but they did. And I don't think that he loses any steam. In fact, I think people find him more, of a sympathetic situation if he takes the loss and it helps build Rusev. So I'm going to go ahead and say Rusev on this one. Match number 2 here, Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. David went ahead and went Becky here. I'm going to go ahead and go with David also, that this doesn't seem to make sense to me for them to give it to Nikki. They're doing something with Becky where it makes sense that she's, pissing people off. We're still seeing Bayley now doing this, potentially schizophrenic type gimmick and hearing voices in her head. So I'm going to say that this is going to stay with Becky. So I'm going to agree with David here and go with Becky. Who you got?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say I'm a little annoyed that isn't for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like, this Becky, and of course it's Becky, right? Becky Hogan is getting more
Right,
love and more push with the Intercontinental title than whatever they were doing with the World Heavyweight Championship.
right,
I know the title's in limbo right now. They're still trying to figure out, or they haven't announced what they want to do with the title. But I'm just sitting there like, man, the story that they've been telling with Becky and these wrestlers, like, this all should have been for the World Heavyweight title. And
right.
I feel like Stephanie McCare, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, even Raquel, like they almost feel like perfect people to be wrestling for the Intercontinental title while
Right.
Becky's on top. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It just feels
Yeah.
reversed. Like, and I don't think that there would have been any shame in like say bringing Stephanie Vaquero from NXT and letting
Right.
her like get an Intercontinental title run, you know, while Becky's doing what she's been doing because she's been doing good work, but it pisses me off that it's for the, you know, the not even secondary, well, the secondary title on the show,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. So anyway, with that said, I think she's gonna win. I don't think Nikki Bella is there to win championships at this point in her career. I do think that they've been doing a great job. Becky's obviously, you know, she's great, but Nikki Bella's been holding her own on the mic.
Right.
I thought it was
Called her a C
hilarious.
word.
Called her, that was so funny the way she called her a C word, and then she's all coward, and Becky comes
Yeah.
back with like, "That's a much worse word than I thought you were actually going to use."
Yeah.
Like I thought that
What
was
did
hilarious.
what did you think? Two things here. Number one, what did you think of Kelly Osbourne getting upset about Becky's promo referencing Aussie and, Birmingham, England?
First thing I'm going to say is that does not look like Kelly Osbourne. That does not. That's not the
No,
Kelly
it doesn't.
Osbourne I remember.
Right.
Secondly, uh,
Do you feel like she needs
the,
to apologize?
no, I feel how I'm going to say this. I think that Ozzy Osbourne is a WWE fan. He's done business with the WWE.
Right.
Maybe they're setting something up with Kelly and Becky.
I don't think so. I don't think that they
You
are.
think she's legitimately upset?
Yeah, I mean, her dad just died. So, yeah, I think she's
I mean,
pissed.
yeah, but her dad was an entertainer. I think
But I
you
get
know,
that.
as a family of
She should
entertainers, you would understand. You would as a family
yeah,
of
I was gonna
entertainers,
say,
you would understand. Like Ozzy made his fucking living being the what do they call him? A fucking devil worshiper. That's how he made his living.
yeah, no, I'm with you that
Being
she
the prince of
should
darkness.
understand.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
like anything
He
goes
was
with
good.
these guys. Anything
Listen
goes with these people.
listen, he was biting bats and doing COVID shit before COVID. So, that was the
Anything goes
thing.
with these people. So
That's right.
I'll say Becky's gonna win. I'll go with Becky. I don't think they're ready, but yeah, like I thought it was weird. Maybe I'm hoping that this is a
Setting
setup for
something
something
up.
else.
All right. Well, we got to run in. David was able to make the late show. So
He's
we
really
got him
acting like
on.
Roman Reigns now, just running in and running out.
Yeah, he just shows up at the end, throws his finger up one time, and then runs the fuck off. Um, I'll spin
Hey,
this.
your poor planning allowed for this to happen.
Hey,
Children happen. Children happen.
yeah. Um, we announced that your pick in this, David, was Becky. But let me ask you this question: how do you feel about what they're doing with Stephanie Vaquer? That they announced that she's not getting the direct match straight away at Clash for the title. That they're gonna trying to figure out, so to speak, what they're gonna do with her. Do you feel like that's the wrong move? Do you feel like, well, it's okay because it's gonna set up a bigger match or give her something one-on-one? Like, or do you think they should put the title on her?
I don't think they should put the title on her, like just give it to her, but she should be wrestling. I mean, she hasn't wrestled in over a month now.
Right.
You know, it's like she's one of your top stars, and I've noticed this trend with WWE. Like maybe it's with the female stars specifically, but like they don't have strong storylines, so they just don't put them on cards anymore.
Right.
And now you don't even see these people wrestle consistently. But no, I don't put the title on her, but like they should have found a way to pivot to still make a match happen. Like, even if it's a triple threat or, some sort of like ladder match for the title and you have a few contenders or whatever, but she still deserves the shot.
Right. Do
I
you
tend
feel
to
like
think that.
go ahead?
Sorry, I tend to think that they weren't planning on having Stephanie win the title. I feel like Naomi was going to go on a long run with
Right.
this title. That's what this tells me. And I don't think they were prepared for her to be gone, or they haven't sat there and quite hashed out what they want to do going forward. So they just decided to push it back a little bit. Because the
Oh,
Right.
easy
they're
thing would
totally
have the easy
they're
thing would
tramp.
have been to do is give Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquero one-on-one match, right? Pick a winner.
Yeah.
Like they could have just had last week had somebody a number one contender. They could have had a triple threat match for the number one contendership. Winner
Mhm.
goes on to face Stephanie Vaquero for the vacant title. That would have been easy. But it goes to me that they're maybe they're trying to
They're
what's the word?
overthinking this?
No, they're trying to what's the expression with loose ends? They're trying to
tie up loose ends.
Tie up some loose ends, so that they can move forward. And with that being said, I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to say Nikki Bella wins, Becky Lynch loses, and then she works her way into a title shot, and they put her at the top of the card where she belongs.
Officially, you want that change?
Yeah, I think so. I think those are the loose ends that they're going to try and tie up here.
I will say, because
Stephanie McCare's Becky Lynch match would be fire.
I agree that it was a like Naomi was going to have a role at WrestleMania originally,
Right.
with the title, I'm sure. So like they're trying to figure out, okay, who, like they're not just thinking who do we put the title on now? They're like, who do we set up for WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I agree. I don't think Valkyria was going to win the title, you know, at Clash, but they're thinking, you know, that 6 months ahead, like, okay, where do we want this story? Like, this is a lot of pivoting they've had to do because it's something that came up very unexpectedly.
Right. To
You know,
your
so-
point earlier about, you know, WWE not doing a good job of, you know, keeping women's storylines strong enough to keep them on TV. Do you feel like that's also the reason why somebody like Julia, that they've kind of missed again there? Like, she was hot, they put the US title on her. People are like, all right, let's see her do her thing consistently week in and week out. And she's been in a few backstage segments, and that's been it. She hasn't wrestled either.
It is. And you know what? I will say this. So this is my overarching thing of what I've noticed and I've thought about since I'm not on here every week. So I have time to think about these things.
Okay.
There's a problem with the 5-match PLE format in combination with how many PLEs they're doing consecutively. So what I think ends up getting squeezed is these additional storylines you could be working, because all they want to do is push, because they only have 2 to 3 weeks to build a PLE.
Right.
So all the focus goes into whatever the 5 matches are going to be for that PLE, and all these other stories, these slow burners, end up just being taken off the burner altogether and forgotten about.
Right.
And that's the issue that you're seeing with like Julia is like, well, we don't have the US title, you know, on a PLE right now. And it's like, so the Intercontinental and the US title both came out at the same time. The US title has never been defended on a PLE.
Mhm.
The Intercontinental title has been defended, what, 3 times? The women's ones? I mean,
Yeah, only as Becky,
like
right?
3 or 4, only because of Becky. And so the US title has a problem that like they're not pushing the young stars. They're trying to they're banking because of they're having so many PLEs they're trying to sell out. They're just banking on these like, you know, these big time mega stars, and you're not seeing a lot of these undercard, mid card people getting a chance to really, you know, tell a story and do all these things.
Right.
And this is the problem with all these PLEs. So, like, I've heard all the stories about them going to the 2-night PLEs with a lot more of the PLE format.
Right.
The only thing I see as a positive from that is that you can hopefully, that means you'll actually tell more stories moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, where you'll actually give more TV time, more ring time to all these people that deserve it, because you're building more than 5 matches for a PLE.
The only problem I have with that is what we saw at SummerSlam, that you run the risk of stories that should or could be told on weekly television, where when you put the 2 days together, it should have been one. If you take the quality matches of the 2 days, it's one card. It's like a 6 to 7 match card that handles that better than essentially, you know, trimming the fat of what could have been told on weekly television. I think that they need to
But wasn't that a better card than WrestleMania?
well, I think that depends on how you look at it. I think if you're looking at how the shows ended both nights, like with, you know, Brock in one term and Seth's cash in the other, then yeah, the way that you felt when you walked away from the TV, or that you went home that night, then yeah, then that's better than pissed off because Travis Scott ruined WrestleMania and The Rock didn't show up. You know what I mean? Like, in that sense, that's definitely better than what you saw at WrestleMania. But if you're looking at storytelling, there was another great triple threat match. You just plugged in Naomi instead of Bianca in the women's triple threat match that stole the show. That was great. Punk and Seth had their moment. I thought that Punk and Gunther's match was just a traditionalist match. I was okay with it. I didn't think that it was bad, but I didn't think it stole the show. And I think that, you know, there was a lot of like the TLC chaos. People love the car wreck type, television when it's put in places like that. They completely, to be fair, they completely unbalanced the two nights. One night had all the no DQ stipulations, and the other night was very basic and vanilla. So I think if they would have done a better job of balancing out the card, then overall it was easy to say that, yes, it was better. But I think because of that imbalance, and if you're just going off of moments, then you look at SummerSlam and you go, for sure, because the way you walked away from Brock and Seth Cash-in, you went, oh, that's how you should end a major show, just like that. So I think it depends on your opinion of the match card as a whole versus how you walk away and the moments that you have because of it.
I do
So
feel SummerSlam just had the better endings. Like the two nights ended with the shock and awe of what happened, and that's what kind of people remember more so than WrestleMania. That WrestleMania didn't have that kind of moment. Or we're kind
right,
of we're kind of at the point now where we're used to, like, WrestleMania is we talked about this, is the culmination of stories, right? So it's
right.
and then
It's
SummerSlam
a
kind of turns
crescendo
out to
moment.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, SummerSlam's more like a continuation of things, but they're
Mhm.
deciding to be like, let's really like make it a huge continuation of this story that we have going on here,
Right.
which is what they did. But I mean, gosh, I mean, going back this card, I mean, this would have been a good 8 card match. I think. I mean, we're still missing. I mean, I know Cody Rhodes is gone. He's off doing whatever,
Right. Street
recording
Fighter,
whatever he's doing, but he's not there defending the WWE
the championship.
Championship.
Yep.
You know, AJ and Dom feels like this should have been on this PLE, but they're on Monday night.
Saving that.
Um,
Yep.
even they could have done, if they wanted to rush it. I mean, they could have done something with EO and Asuka and Kyrie and Rhea, right? And done something if they wanted to, like, kind of like do some sort of a match there.
Right.
There was, if they wanted to go deeper into that, but five matches. Um, I'm not thrilled that and they could have done, and again, they could have done Stephanie McCarr against somebody else, right? For the
Right.
vacant title like they had originally planned having. So I wonder, who do you think moved in there? Do you think Becky and Nikki moved in there to replace that match? Do you think that, or do
Uh,
you think that Rusev and Sheamus are the ones that
I
moved
think
in
it
there
was
to
Rusev
replace
and
that?
Sheamus, if I had
You
to
think they were?
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, let's keep it moving to the third match on the card here. Bronson
Wait, what was
Reed,
the first match since I came in late?
Sheamus and Rusev.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then this one was number 2.
Moving
So moving on, Bronson and Roman, the tribal chief versus the tribal thief. David, since you're the run in here, we'll go with you first. Who you got?
on. I'll go with my man since him and I are on the same schedule. I gotta say Roman. I actually think, especially with something about his promo talking about getting back the things that he lost and stuff like that. It gave me the sense for the first time since he lost the title that he's actually kind of in it for a sustained run a little bit.
Mm.
And so maybe it's the optimist in me, but I'm hoping that he's gonna put in I'm not saying every week in,
Yeah,
week
yeah.
out, every week, but like a consistent effort over these next few months through maybe even the Royal Rumble. I'd like to see him go through WrestleMania season before he takes another break. But I know that's wishful thinking, but
Yeah. You got a better
I
chance of
still
Colonel
think
Sanders eating a cheeseburger, buddy.
I think he's going to still push at least for a few months, at least through Survivor Series. And so I'm gonna go with Roman because I think they're gonna build him up. He's probably gonna be on that WrestlePalooza card.
Right.
They've got some big ones that they really wanna, make look good with the move to ESPN. And you need your biggest star. You need your biggest box office draw for those things. So I'm going to
That's
say Roman's going to start building some momentum, building some steam
okay.
into something bigger.
I'm going to
boy,
go ahead and I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to go Bronson because Roman's not done filming Street Fighter. That's not done until early October, is my understanding, if not longer, depending on if they expand his role between now and then, which reportedly is what happened to Cody, that they added time to his role. So I'm going to go ahead and go Bronson. They need to continue to build him. He needs to essentially, even if he loses the match, he needs to come off strong and tsunami the shit out of him and let him go away again for a couple weeks to finish the filming. But I think that it makes more sense to have him win and just totally, even after the match, just keep going and going and going. until he leaves him laying, and then they go off and do their thing. So he's got something to come back and get after with Seth and the group, rather than just going directly to Seth. Because we've seen, to your point about, his promo, we also seen him give advice to Jay about who to trust and who not to trust, which ended Raw with Jay super kicking Punk, making you feel like, well, I guess the only people that he can trust is family. And so that would make you think that there's something that's going to continue to go on there, but you can't have Jay make another save again, at least not right now on a PLE. So I'm going to go ahead and go Bronson and go the other way. It makes him look stronger. It gives Roman something to come back to before getting to the title, because they want to make Seth have a consistent run for at least a little while. So I'm going Bronson. Damian, who do you got?
I do want to call out the segment thief David over here showing up with guns a blazing over here. Like he's taking a lot of my thunder. My prediction was going to be Roman, because I think he's going to be around a little bit more than we expected him to be around because of
Okay.
the transition to ESPN. I honestly, like he said, I thought WrestlePalooza's coming up. He's got to be on that. I feel like he's got to be on that card doing something, if it's against Braun Breaker or a rematch.
Right.
So I'm going to go Roman.
Okay.
I think he wins, and I think we're setting up for a Roman Braun Breaker match next. Like
Okay.
he's going to kind of have to work his way up to the
top.
final boss, I guess.
Okay. We got next the co-main event of the card, Cena versus Logan Paul. I'm going to go ahead and go Cena here. I don't think that they give Logan any love on this one. It doesn't make sense to have him win. We saw on SmackDown last week that apparently there was two different versions of this segment that went out online, but they had Cena go ahead and Logan punk Cena while he was talking to Nick Aldis about some sort of report and an update from Brock Lesnar, which makes me think that they need Cena to look as strong as possible, because he was left laying last time by Brock to set up WrestlePalooza. So I'm going to go ahead and say Cena beats Logan. So,
Have they
Damien, who do
announced
you got here?
have they announced the order of the card? Like, is the Fatal 4-Way going to be the main event?
No, they haven't announced
No.
any order.
I'm going to say this: if this is the main event, Logan Paul's going to win because Brock Lesnar interferes. Referee
Okay.
gets knocked out. Brock Lesnar shows up. F5 is John Cena. Logan Paul, does some sort of a frog splash or something probably,
Right.
and pins him for the win. That's going to be my
With the
prediction.
okay, so with the assumption that it's not, what's your official pick if they're the co-main event?
Well, again, I mean, I want to have my cake and eat it too. I want to have it both ways. Here,
Yeah.
if it's the co-main, I'm going to go John Cena wins.
Okay.
If it's the main,
So
you
which
can
one are
switch
we counting? Can't sit here and split
Yeah,
hairs.
exactly.
I'm telling you, like, it just depends on the order that they're going in.
You got to
Put it
play it with
down.
what you know. And
Order
what we
matters,
know is
guys. Order
that there's a
matters.
world title on the line.
I guess. Listen, he could cut. Brock Lesnar could still interfere. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to end the show. So I'll
Right.
go. I'll stick with my prediction. I'll go Logan Paul wins.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar shows up to set up the WrestlePalooza match.
Okay. David?
I actually have Logan winning, but not with a Brock run in. I think that I can see Drew. Drew's not on this card, and he's usually on every Clash card.
Right.
In Europe anyway. Confirmed. He's in Europe, not unlike Brock. And so
Are they going to
I
let him
feel like
leave this time?
I think Drew is going to have something to do with it, because it's going to build. I have this inkling. I mean, I know I've read it, but like just the way it's building, I feel like Drew's going to end up being Cena's last match potentially. And so it allows you to plant a seed a little bit. He's been watching Logan's back anyway and stuff like that, kind of mentoring him a little bit
Right.
as a dual type. And so I think Drew interferes and allows Logan to get the victory.
Okay. Damien?
I'm gonna tell you what. I mean, I'm gonna go with Cena, with Logan winning, but
Right.
you mentioned John Cena's final match. I would love to see Gunther be that guy. Right,
That's the rumor, right?
Because then they could tell the story that Gunther ended Bill Goldberg's career, was the final match, ended John Cena's career, basically, and then maybe they could set up that Gunther Brock Lesnar match for WrestleMania, where they can give Brock Lesnar his proper farewell, and they can build him as the guy that's retiring all these legends, and that would be the story that they tell with Gunther and Brock Lesnar.
To be fair, retiring, Goldberg isn't really saying that much, to be honest.
Listen,
Not
when
at
you
this point.
when you say it, like I retired Goldberg, I retired John Cena, I'm gonna retire you too. Like it carries weight in the wrestling
Well,
world.
Bill
I know what you're
Goldberg
saying.
retired Bret Hart. How about that?
That's like saying that Rampage Jackson or who was it? Rashad Evans retired Chuck Liddell. Like, yeah, we knew he was washed.
Right.
Or whoever it was. It was Tito Ortiz. I think it was their farewell match where Tito got him back. But
Right.
I know what you're saying, but it does. I mean, as far as resume building goes, like it matters in wrestling. You know that's true.
Okay.
Real quick too, though, like I don't think Cena needs to win to build up like his credibility to go into a match with Brock at WrestlePalooza. It's John Cena. Like
But he can't lose
nobody's
clean.
huh?
He can't lose clean. Like
Right.
there's no way in the world where he loses
Yeah, but
clean.
even if he loses clean, you have 20 years of Cena on a retirement tour against Brock Lesnar. Like it's still gonna sell. If nobody's gonna
No,
go, oh, you know what? He lost to Logan Paul clean. I can't watch this match anymore.
No,
I don't. It's not about that. It's more about like nobody's gonna believe that Logan Paul can beat him clean.
I'm
Like
not.
people are
I'm
gonna
gonna.
kind of groan at it. Like what the fuck? Like really?
I'm gonna
Like
go.
John Cena
Well,
never loses clean. Like
Yeah,
to
no,
this guy.
I'm gonna go a different direction, and I'm gonna say it depends on what the plan is with Brock. Because if Brock's gonna be around and Cena's not, does Cena put over Brock? Because if he puts over Brock, then he's got to beat Logan. He's not losing to Logan and Brock back to back.
Well, the thing, the
So
Brock match could be a schmaz, right? It could be like a Randy Orton type finish at SummerSlam where they just are brawling and then
it's a
it's a no
mess. Yeah,
contest.
that's true.
I think that would happen more than anything else, that it's not a clean finish. Plus, Logan never wins clean anyway. So, like, I would never be under the assumption that Logan wins clean.
That's fair. Well, let's get to the main event, the 4-way World's Heavyweight Championship match. We got Punk, LA Knight, Jey Uso, and the champion Seth Rollins. Damian, who you got?
Well, Seth Rollins is going to win. They're not going to take the title off of him yet. That's why I feel like this should be the co-main event. If they're going to set up some sort of surprise ending in the John Cena Logan Paul match,
Right.
and I'll say that Jey Uso takes the pin here, so that they can keep LA Knight kind of in that title picture, and they can move Uso to the side, and maybe set up something with Punk going forward.
Okay. David?
I got Rollins winning too. You know, I don't see him going through everything he did at SummerSlam, being the main heel on Raw and all that. I think LA Knight takes the pin.
Okay.
I mean, as much as I think we'd like to see LA Knight get more of a sustained push, I think that WWE always kind of pushes him up like this and then uses him as the fall guy.
Yeah.
You know, as popular as he is, he doesn't sell the merch that Jay and CM Punk sell.
Yeah.
You know, so I think he takes the pin, but yeah, Rollins wins.
I got Rollins also. My first thought was LA Knight eating the pin also, but I could also see like the moment where Punk gets his lick back on Jay, hitting him with a GTS or something, and Rollins slides in and throws him out and pins Jay. So that way they continued the Jay Punk thing and like the, hey, what the hell, you kicked me, well, you got me in the match type of thing. And then it gives Rollins the slimy bastard that stole the win at the end. So I could see both, but I feel like this is a bit predictable. Damian and I talked about this last week about the formula or the blueprint of the show. How did you feel again this week with the main event being the same situation where Rollins' group is involved in a DQ type finish, and then there's a run in, and it's just a big brawl with his group and whoever they plug in, whether it's Roman, LA Knight, it's Punk, and you don't get a real finish to Raw, and you don't really get the whole excitement of what would be, a moment. It just turns into, well, the crowd's looking for something because they've kind of trained them to look for something.
Well, let me ask a question, because as it's known, I wasn't as invested into WWE the previous like 3 years before the last 2 years or so.
Right.
Wasn't this how a lot of episodes ended with the bloodline? Am I wrong in that? Like numbers, kind of chaos. I'm not saying quite as much. Like if you gave it if you looked at the broad scope of things, yeah, maybe not week to week, but I'm sure there were stretches where this is what was happening and a lot of chaos.
I'll go
You've
farther
seen
back than
this,
that. I'll take it even farther. Hunter being the champion, the world's champion in 2002, 2003. This was basically the finish of every Monday Night Raw when he was the head of
right?
Evolution. It was either a DQ or a schmoz finish because Evolution got involved, whether that was Rick, Dave, or Randy, and then they would wind up brawling, and the show would go off the air with either them leaving somebody lane or the babyface getting the upper hand or getting like a random helper, and which is what they're doing now. And
Which,
the
to my
bloodline.
point,
Go
it's
ahead.
not necessarily, it's not bad for business. Clearly, that model has worked over
Right.
the course of history. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and nitpick it right now, but unfortunately, it avoids the thing that we talk about the most, I feel like, is who eats a pin, who looks weak, and all that. So
Right.
every time you do this, nobody eats a pin. Everybody looks strong. Everybody looks
Right.
like they have a chance and things like that because nobody loses clean anymore.
Mhm.
And so I think it's almost like you've backed yourself into a corner by trying to keep everybody strong,
Yeah.
that you have to finish this way. How else can you do it? You can't have, like, the way we look at it is you can't have these guys eating pins left and right. Otherwise, everybody goes, oh, so and so lost to so and so, even though it was a great matchup. Oh, they're weak because they lost to this person already and it was clean.
Right.
And that's one of the conversations we have. We say, or we just had a conversation earlier, like, oh, Cena can't lose clean to so and so because of this. So
Right.
you have to do this. You backed yourself into a corner with, as fans, wanting guys to look strong for PLEs and for all these big matches that are big ticket items.
Right.
And so it's like, does it suck to see it in the same way? Yeah, but it's also, what else are you going to do at this point?
Yeah. No.
What's the alternative?
Yeah.
I'll say this: the booking lately has had me kind of disinterested in a lot of the Monday night, Friday night shows.
Mhm.
I feel more forced to watch than compelled to watch
Mm.
right now. Like I'm watching because it's just what I normally do. I'm not excited to like turn on SmackDown or turn on Raw and see what's going to happen to set up the next match because of the formula that they're using.
Right.
Like they're going to set up a main event and there's not going to be a winner.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a bunch of run-ins and it's going to be just chaos and destruction. And you got to be careful. Like that's fun every once in a while, but when that's happening every single week and it's going to happen every single time one of the members of the Vision is wrestling, it's like, why even bother to watch it? Like, they're gonna, it's gonna be Braun versus Jay or whoever. They're gonna have, they're gonna wrestle for 15 minutes and then there's not gonna be a finish.
Yeah, you can
Bronson's gonna
skip
come
the
out.
you can skip the match part of it and just see the highlight of the brawl on social media.
So
Yeah.
they got to be careful because I'll say like, who cares what, but it's like they're probably like whatever. Who cares what that guy thinks? But they're kind of losing me a little bit where I don't feel like I'm like I just watch it because it's just what I'm used to doing. But they got to be careful because Monday Night Football's coming up.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to watch something live, and Monday Night Football has stepped up their scheduling lately, where it's not the shitty game of the week anymore. It's like almost like a game of the week type scheduling that they do now. So they got to be careful because if they keep doing this, I'm just going to be compelled to watch Monday Night Football and then just catch the highlights of Raw later
Well, I
on.
think it's a combo. It's not only that of it being, repetitive and habitual at this point. It's also the fact that they're not doing a good job of making people invest into these stories. We talked about it, about how they're cooling off somebody like Julia and Stephanie, who people want to see more from. There, and don't get me wrong. Listen, I'm wearing her shirt right now. I'm a big Rhea fan, but this EO stuff has got to stop. The stuff that they're doing with her, she's been in a triple threat match at both major events with EO. They plug and played other people. Like, give her something else. And I'm seriously worried that they're going to put the title back on her because they feel like she's the biggest star until they really figure out what they want to do.
Nope, you're gonna get Charlotte and Alexa versus Rio.
Is
Well,
that their name, Rio?
Is that well? Rio's an actual wrestler in AEW, so you better be careful.
Yeah, but WWE's already like tagging him as Rio on social
RHIY.
media.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
I could see them being a tag team match. I could see them being a tag team. They could have a great match with Asuka and Kyrie. They could do obviously Raquel and what's her name?
Roxanne.
Roxanne, and then they could do Charlotte and Alexa. Like that. I mean, that's a pretty tough, tag team division there.
Right.
I can see them doing that for the next couple of months as they to get us to WrestleMania season. So I think that's what's going to happen. You don't want to see them together anymore. Then I think it sets up for the breakup, right? Eventually,
Well, I think that
Rhea and
that's to me,
Io.
isn't that what's the tease? Is that Io's going with the Kabuki Warriors here? At some point, Asuka's going to make her see the light, and she's going to turn on Rhea because Rhea
No,
as a heel doesn't work. She's too big. People like her too much.
I don't think so right away. I don't think. I think they're setting us up for like some Io Asuka stuff.
No, I
Io and
agree. But I mean, you were talking about the split. I think that's the split. Is that Io's the one that breaks everybody up, and it's because she goes heel with the Kabuki Warriors.
but not
Io's
anytime
too
soon.
popular right.
Say that again.
Io's got too much popularity right now too. She's
Well, I think that's why it would be such a oh shit, really?
It's really easy to turn the people that speak poor English into heels. That's just a WWE thing.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, when in doubt, just turn heel, and like everything you do is just dastardly, and like it gets the message across. So, that's probably what'll happen eventually, I think. But
kind of circling back though, like I feel like I can watch WWE PLEs without watching the weekly shows and still basically have a understanding of what's going on show to show.
Is that a good or a bad thing? Do you?
It's
Because
bad for. It's going to be bad for WWE in the fall, especially with football and things like that.
Yeah.
Like Damian said, Monday Night Football, hell, Friday night college football is becoming a bigger thing.
Next Friday, the Chiefs and Chargers are playing on Friday night
in Brazil. Yeah,
nobody's watching SmackDown.
Right.
That's the problem, and it's because how often do titles change hands on those shows? Back in growing up, I remember titles change hands on Raw and SmackDown all the time. And there were title matches.
Speaking of
you would
that,
think, that's where the mid-card titles would happen.
Quick, do you think that was preemptive to be in Europe, so they have to do the early start time so they don't have to face the first few weeks of the NFL season?
Maybe. The season doesn't start till next week.
Right.
So, it's still.
So they're still
next
there.
Thursday.
Yeah, they're still there on Monday.
College football this weekend.
Right.
Oh, college football. You got college football this weekend, but the NFL starts next Thursday. Are they going to be in Europe on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown next week?
I know they're still in Paris for Raw. Let me look it up real quick. Let me see where
they might have done it a week early, right? They probably needed to wait an extra week or two to do that. And the thing is, with the way that Raw airs on Netflix, like I told you, like it aired at 3:30. I didn't watch it till I got home anyway. To me, it doesn't matter when it airs,
right?
As long as you're. And the main thing I do is I find myself, I don't follow WWE accounts on Instagram because I don't want spoilers, and I just got to stay off of Twitter or X.
Right.
As long as I stay off of that, I'm not getting any spoilers, so I can just come home and watch whatever.
They will be. It says here they're going to be in Chicago September 5th. So they'll be back in the States.
Okay. So they'll be competing with Brazil.
Yeah.
But
well, as we
bonus
said,
match. Who's winning the IC title Monday night?
That's hard to call because if they get it off of Dom and give it to AJ, it makes it easy to go, well, Dom's got to be the mega champion coming up beating Vikino at the end of the month, right?
Well, I think that's going to happen anyway. So
right. So it's a matter of, do you want to have him carrying both belts?
He won't. Does Vikingo show up in costume?
Oh, that would be fun as a way to play into that. Yeah.
And then Dom versus Vikingo for the title, and Dom gets in. That way he doesn't have to carry both. They can get the title off of him, AJ Styles. Because they have talked about a potential AJ Styles John Cena match.
Yeah.
Would it be compelling for Cena to be going after the only title he's never won?
They're saying that it got scrapped based on the fuck up of the heel turn. Yeah. Well, no, the heel turn.
Okay. Oh, I thought it was like the Lesnar return. That it was going to be AJ, but because Lesnar returned, they scrapped that match.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I heard that one too.
Yeah.
Well, could have been.
It was going to be AJ Cena, but with Lesnar returning and the timeline the way that it was, it just kind of scrapped the AJ match.
I still think I think you're going to get AJ winning, and I think you're going to get Sheamus also chasing the IC title because he hasn't won it. He's going to win this weekend. He'll have a little momentum. AJ will win. You'll get.
I think that's a WrestleMania moment for Sheamus.
Think so?
Yeah, I think. Well, I don't think AJ's going to hold it until WrestleMania, but whoever it is, I think that's a great time for Sheamus to win it for the first time. You can start building toward that.
Well, we'll see if it happens. these were the predictions for Clash in Paris. Remember that it is an early start time due to the fact that it is in Paris. Damien's stoked that it's going that way. He likes those early Saturday, Sunday start times. So
What
he
time
has
does
the
it
rest
start
of
Saturday?
I have to look real quick. I believe
Because Texas and Ohio State are playing at 9 a.m. So it better
After
start
that,
at, start at 12:30 or 1. Better start at 1 o'clock.
I
let's
think it's a
see.
1.
Start time.
Man, while you're looking that up, that Ohio State Texas game, that has to be like the biggest opening day college football matchup in a long freaking time. You got Archie Manning going up against the defending national champions.
It's starting at
Holy
11
shit.
a.m. on the West Coast.
Oh, man.
Ooh. You better hope that football game's a blowout in the fourth quarter.
Right?
I have a laptop. I have a TV screen. I'll probably have to watch the beginning on my laptop.
Have to double up. So 11 a.m. out here on the West Coast, 2 p.m. on the East Coast. Like we said, we'll see how we did last time. Damien handled business coming off of SummerSlam, so we'll see if he goes back to back.
Hey, I know this is not wrestling related, but have you heard anything about the Fox negotiations with YouTube TV?
As of today, the only thing I saw was that it wasn't done yet.
Because Fox might not be on YouTube TV. This new YouTube TV isn't one of the providers or the carriers that you can use to sign into the new ESPN app.
Yep.
So I'm like, shit, man. Like as soon as football season is over and I got my NFL Sunday ticket out of the way, I'm gonna buy YouTube TV unless they get their shit together.
Well, you do know that. I mean, I don't know if you've already, obviously, for this season taken care of it, but you can get the Sunday ticket just through YouTube's Prime channels and not have to have YouTube TV. You can get it as a standalone thing.
Oh, I wonder. I've already paid for the first month of YouTube TV or of a Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
This month, I just paid for it this month. I wonder if I can be like, hey, I don't want YouTube TV anymore, so just keep charging me monthly for the ticket.
Use that as the Sunday ticket package.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I know that you can do it with a standalone thing. I was looking into it myself for those very reasons.
But I did hear a report that they think that YouTube TV coming to an agreement with ESPN is imminent.
Oh,
like
okay.
that, like they want that deal so that if you have YouTube TV, you can just use that account to sign into ESPN and watch all the WWE PLEs. So I'm hoping they get that done, but they want to because they don't want to lose people to leaving
other services,
to get ESPN to other services because they want ESPN.
Absolutely. Well, David, I appreciate you making the run in. We know it was a busy night. Wednesday's not usually a good night for you, but you were able to make it, so much appreciated. Damien, thank you for looking like you're telling scary stories at a campfire with no ring light tonight.
Man, yeah, no ring light tonight. My wife was on a Zoom call, and I forgot to turn the lights on outside, and I didn't want to get up during the call to turn them on. So I have my cell phone. I have my cell phone light right here. I have my candle right here next to me too, trying to give me some light. But I'm just looking like Tony Soprano here in the dark.
Well, it's much appreciated that you guys spend the time to do this. As always, make sure that you like and subscribe to the videos on YouTube so that way we can continue to grow this thing. David, what do you have to tell the people on the way out?
See you guys in a month.
that sounds about right. Damien, how about you?
R.I.P. Tommy Dreamer.
We'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Grab a Hold podcast.